Welcome friends to another r/NuclearRevenge video. If you want to help this video blow up like these stories of revenge, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by Skeleton Jackie, entitled Mother at a Ukrainian Beach stumbles onto two creative sociopaths who deal out some sweet revenge. So around 3 years ago, I came back home for a visit, and around the table, the subject came to previous holidays, which made me remember this little story of horror, so I thought that you guys may like it. Warning, I was, am, and will always be a jerk, and fully understand that I and my aunt did a crappy, borderline sociopathic thing, but my shame had over the years degraded. Also want to give you a heads up that the dialogue in the story is from as best as I could remember and also translated from Russian. So this happened a very, very long time ago, around the time when I was about 9 or 10. So old enough to develop a spiteful mindset. At the time, me and my family, which included me, my mother, my grandmother, and my mother's sister, my aunt, this was during the time when we lived in another country and usually went to the holidays to Ukraine around the Black Sea, which is where the story took place. Every morning around 8 a.m., we would head towards the beaches as they were always full and impossibly hot by the time it was midday. So our plan was always go to the beach and leave by around 11, when it got so hot that you could cook in your own sweat. We would always go around the small towns surrounding the beach to play games, arcades, and the other entertainment, and then go back to our little special personal houses/huts for rest and lunch. Nevertheless, I digress. So on this particular day, we made it to the beach a little earlier, which meant that we could pick out some of the best parts of the beach and set up our blankets before new amounts of glass and trash were made on the beach. For some background, while the Black Sea is lovely, the beaches around the area are only for the more experienced who know how to avoid the trash areas. Often, beaches were full of broken glass bottles, cigarettes, needles, and many other dangerous things, and thus it was highly advised that you wear foot protection when traveling between point A to B. So me and the gal crew, my grandfather rarely ever came to the holidays with us, as my grandparents owned a massive house with farm animals and couldn't trust anyone to take care of them, so someone had to stay back. And my dad is a deadbeat jerk, so it was always just us girls. Now, about that spot. We found the perfect spot and laid out our things and towels and checked for any bottles or debris, and were overjoyed to find none. We watched the beach fill up with people, and eventually around 10-ish, we noticed that a very large woman with 3 kids approached us. Now, the girls in my family are big, but this was a hippo of unbelievable proportions. We were in a spot right between the sea and the entrance, under a big umbrella that was here for public use. She towered over us. There were lots of people around, but still a few spaces available around to sit nearby, which was very surprising. This woman towered over us and loudly groaned and complained. Let's refer to her as Entitled Mother, and her kids Entitled Kid 1, Entitled Kid 2, and Entitled Kid 3. All 3 boys. "You're in our spot," the Entitled Mother yelled loudly. All of us blinked unanimously in confusion. My mom even started laughing a little, asking, "Are you having a heat stroke or are you for real?" Entitled Mother loudly gasped and started kicking our towels and stuff. "You're in our spot. We've been sitting here for the last 3 days, and now your fat butts are taking my spot, and because of you, my kids are burning their feet waiting for you cows to move," she yelled. My mother's sister burst into laughter, replying, "Well, whoever the cow is in this scenario, it's definitely not us." Odd translation, I know, but it's direct. While this was happening, I was building a small sand pile. Her devil spawns suddenly start pushing me and taking some of my sandcastle stuff and bending it, to which I got up and pushed him away and grabbed my shovel and then hit him with it, telling him to bugger off, hitting him repeatedly and hard. I was usually a well-behaved kid, but if I have ever seen anyone try and break my stuff, I would cripple them, as we weren't the richest and I was protective of my things. The mother gasped and started crying out for me to move, which everyone in the surrounding area glanced at, but it's Ukraine, nobody cared. I love my people, and besides, there was no one to call for help. Police or guards around the beach are not common or wanted. My mother had stood up fully to her now and told her, "Take your fat," we have a better word, joipa, which means fat hippo butt in one word, and ugly butt somewhere else before the 5 of us collectively will cripple you. She straight up tries to slap my mother, to which I then responded and took a plastic shovel to her son's eye with sand in it and started jabbing it. As his siblings try and push me away, but I spit in one's face and kick the other. All of them start crying, and a few people shout out for her to shut her brats up. The mother then stops midway and grabs her spawns and yells at us, "The second you witches move, I'm taking this spot." I know there were more profanities, but I don't remember every word fully or the conversation fully. Now mind you, there was no one to call help for, as the lifeguards were not evenly spaced out and miles away, so we decided to have a miniature revenge. My mother tries to tell me off for assaulting the boys, but my grandmother defends me and said something along the lines of, "Don't be mad at her, she was defending you," to which we all then agreed to forget and have fun. Now, me and my mother's sisters were a lot closer to being siblings than her and my mother. She was about 10 years older than me, so she was like 19 when I was 9. We went swimming in turns, never leaving the towel and stuff unattended. After about 40 minutes, my mother and grandmother tell us to pack things up, as they were going to get one last dip, as we had ours. So me and my mother's sister realize we have a window of opportunity, the revenge. While taking their last dip, me and my mother's sister see that the entitled mother is eyeing our spot. And we had an idea. Mother's sister was just as petty-minded and jerk-minded. She told me to go and have a quick look around for broken bottles in the area, and I knew exactly what she was planning. She told me not to touch them by hand and use my shovel and little claw pickup. I took my bucket and my spatula and started running around for 15 minutes while she packed everything, and I started picking up glass shards and bottle shards with my spatula and all the cigarette butts and all the disgusting things I could find, which was not hard. I piled them into the bucket. I then ran back to my aunt, and she saw the bucket full. She told me to be careful and make sure that no one was watching or cared enough to. This wasn't the first Ponzi scheme, revenge plot, and act of disturbing punishment we've done, so I knew what to do. We knew that my mom and grandmother would still be a long time. Turning our backs towards the entitled mother, my aunt started to take out the glass shards and bottles, and me and her started spreading them around that specific area, as this was not uncommon for people to bury their trash, so no one paid mind to it. We started slightly burying them from a visibility, the sharp way up, and engulfed that whole area as much as we could while making it look like we were building a sandcastle. My aunt told me to come pick up grandmother and my mom as we saw them getting out of the sea and drying, and she told me to take them around a slightly different route so they wouldn't step on our little booby trap. I watched her get up, and the entitled mother almost pushed her out of the way and yelled at her to move, to which she just smiled and told her to have a lovely day as the 5 of us cross-met. We slowly started to head a little bit away, and my aunt stops midway, where there's less people, to put on a few things and stall for time so we could watch. I saw the entitled mother hastily punting the tower over the sand without checking it, big mistake, and slops her fat butt down to only then yell and howl in pain as she also sat directly onto the broken glass shards that we hid, cutting up her towel and her leg and thigh entirely. One of the brats who would also try to break my things stepped onto the shards and cut his foot, by the looks and sounds of it, and started yelling and crying and breaking down, and the woman yelled in pain. A few people started being unconvinced by her, and others checked out what happened and tried to help, but the woman screamed profanities. She started rolling around, and all the cigarette buds and seaweed that we'd also placed started getting on her wounds and skin, as well as her towel and her things, and engulfs her in trash, and all the things that people would be collecting in biohazard suits. My grandmother was horrified, thinking that we were also sitting on this, but my mother looked at the two of us, knowing we did this. She couldn't say a word and started shoving us away from the beach in a hurry to get out. Me and my aunt started laughing as my grandmother said, "Oh, praise the Lord that we didn't get cut like that woman, and that it was the grace of God that saved us." Me and my aunt just continued laughing as my mother took us to the side and told us off. My mom threatened to punish me, usually by shaking me hard, yelling at me as she couldn't ground me on a holiday, but my aunt took the blame and told me it was worth it. We sat down in a cafe to get us some cold drinks and lunch. and only after about an hour and a half, we saw a few paramedics start coming towards the beach, by maybe around 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. The medical care in Ukraine on holiday locations is piss poor, and the only way you'd get a doctor helping you is if you were dying, if that. It was also the dead heat of the day, so the medical paramedics would be too lazy to go onto the beach, and no one came to help until the sun came down. There was a dude that got tangled in a parachute, and help arrived only an hour and a half later. It was safe to assume that it was for entitled mother, and that was a satisfying moment as we realized this woman was basically rolling in a cesspool of illnesses for at least an hour or two before any help arrived, baking under the 95+ degree sun. We've most likely ruined this woman's holiday, and have most likely put her out of commission for a long time, as those bottles and those hazardous sand and cigarette pits would have definitely have given her an infection, or at least seriously made it worse. Paramedics and doctors also need bribes there, so this help would have probably cost her 500 euros in bribes only, without the cost of any treatment. There's no cameras around, no people who cared, and no proof that we strictly did it, and no way of ever finding us. Hopefully next time that cow learns some manners. Lesson of the story is that don't pick a fight with someone and underestimate their mindsets, because you may just stumble onto sociopaths who will get back at you for being such a delight. Give me a heads up if you want to hear about some of the other Ponzi schemes and Count of Monte Cristo revenge stories that me and my aunt have dished out over the years. When you grow up without the internet and only part-time cable TV, you find alternative entertainment procedures which mostly resolve around making a crappy person's day even crappier. All I know is I was hearing this story and I was like, man, this is extreme. Then I realized, duh, this is nuclear revenge. Doesn't really matter if somebody's right or wrong. The point is the revenge is nuclear, and this definitely was. As a kid, do you think you'd be capable of trying to ruin the spot like this without knowing the outcome? Or do you think that would be too much for you even as a kid? Let me know in the comments down below. And our final story of the day is by Throwaway665544654. Cheating wife gets wiped out in divorce. Found my best friend's wife's secret social media account. She was sleeping with one of our other friends. I told my friend about it. He just kinda shut down. A few weeks later, he told me never to tell anyone I knew she was cheating or that I knew about the account. I would casually ask him how the two of them were every now and then. Always great. Every time I saw them together, they were a happy couple. 9 months later, he confessed he had lost everything they had to a gambling addiction. A year before, they both had cars that were paid off. He had sold them and leased new cars. The money he made selling them, he lost to gambling. Their savings and 401ks were essentially gone, all lost on gambling. The condo they lived in was rented. They had essentially no assets. She immediately filed for divorce. They had no kids, similar incomes. Divorce was finalized without him owing alimony. Her cheating was never brought up. She got all the furniture and pots and pans. He kept a secret hoard of gold coins. I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing it's at least $200,000 worth. Well, all I can say is I sure hope that guy can keep those hidden. Like, I really wonder, what would be the technique here, because you can't just, show up to the bank and cash $200,000 in. Heck, I think anything over $10,000 they have to, keep a record of or something, right? I'm guessing they're a pretty cautious person considering they pulled this off, but I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing to, try to toe the line on. Unless you go around like a leprechaun trying to pay everything off in cash via gold coins. Oh, rent's due? Oh, okay, hold on, let me go get me pot of gold. To be fair though, it would be a pretty sweet way to get paid because gold's value's always going up, right? Shoot, show me your pot of gold and sure, I'll let you pay your rent in it. I know what I'm about to say is funny considering the marriage just happened and the divorce, but I just want to say that I would not enjoy having that lifetime commitment of trying to make sure you keep all your golden coins secret and that you don't have any hand revealed that you got this stash of money somewhere. But anyways, with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of both of these stories, which one was your personal favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.